First of all, we want to report that we just got a news report that all of the flags in Atlantic City are flying at half staff tonight. So, thank you, Vinny. That was, unfortunately, I'm not nearly as eloquent as you. Seriously, that was beautiful. But I will talk about Jimmy in a way that he understood, and I think I'll make the point. And, you know, I'm Jewish. Many of us in real estate, except for Vinny, are Jewish. So that was really a beautiful ceremony. It really, I think, was a tremendous tribute to Jimmy. And I'm certainly going to miss him very, very much. I think, you know, furthermore, it's very telling that we have an Italian restaurant to have this tribute collection. Because we all know that the Italians have the Dapper Don. Right? But who do the Filipinos have? The handsome Javier. I did this in like 10 font, and I can't read it now. If you ever knew Jimmy at all, you knew that his taste in fashion and style was second to none. Even up to the last few times that I saw Jimmy in the street, when it was clear that he was not in good health and he was walking with a cane, his clothing was impeccable. He looked like he just stepped out of the GQ magazine. He had the well-pressed slacks, the sport jacket, the Hermes tie, the colorful pocket square, cufflinks, and his Burberry raincoat. When I saw Jimmy on the weekends, his casual wear wasn't like mine. Levi's and ripped up sneakers and a Hanes t-shirt. Jimmy instead, he would wear his Gucci jeans, his Lacoste sneakers, his Ferragamo loafers, a Ralph Lauren polo, his favorite Hermes belt with the big H on it, you know? And of course that thick gold Rolex watch. And by the way, he didn't just want you to see it. He had to tell you and brag about his entire ensemble. He would often, Howard and I just spoke about this, he would often tell me, Jeff, look at my shoes. They cost more than your whole outfit.
I like that.
And that's how I remember Jimmy. However, the first time I met Jimmy, it was in the summer of 1980. I was 17 years old. And I was working, my father ran an office building on Fifth Avenue, and I worked as, in the summers I was working as a replacement security guard. And one of my jobs that summer was to open the vacant office spaces that were in the building for the brokers to come show them. And Jimmy was a broker, and he was really quite active in the building. And, you know, I didn't know it then, but the time I met Jimmy, that chance meeting would be the start of a lifelong friendship, and truly one of the defining moments of my life. And in certain respects, Jimmy was responsible for the person that I am today. Wow. Truly. You know, when I first saw Jimmy, he was a young guy. If you remember, he had long hair and a mustache. Okay? And whenever he walked into the building to show space, he created a stir. It was that whole energy. He would say, hey, how you doing? You know, so all the security guards, oh, that's Jimmy, that's the guy, you know. And so he always had this energy and this stir. He was loud and brash. He had a swagger that really exuded confidence. And of course, that great laugh, right? He always had that great laugh. And, you know, definitely infectious. And although, you know, I didn't understand much of what he was saying, I knew once he found out who my father was, because my father ran the building, he was trying to befriend me. Right? And whenever I saw him that summer and the following summer I worked there as well, he would always say to me, Jeff, tell your dad to let me make you a broker someday. I said, oh, sure, yeah, that's what I want to do. And of course, I really wasn't much of a student, so I ended up going to community college. And after community college, I decided to move to Florida and start my own business. That was a disaster, and after a year I came home. And I said to my father, you know, what should I do? I didn't know what to do. My father suggested that I try the real estate business. And because my father's position, he had a lot of connections with real estate brokerage firms. And so I interviewed with a lot of the firms. and never really connected. And then my father said, you know what? Do you remember Jimmy Javier? I said, yeah. He says, I'm in touch with Jimmy all the time. He's always asking about you. He says, why don't you call Jimmy up and see, if you can connect with him. And at the time, Jimmy was working with a small firm called Morrissey, which was Armand Santos and Baby. There was a bunch of Filipinos, and they were sort of doing residential real estate, commercial real estate, and he talked me into coming by and meeting with him, and we met in their office on 55th Street, and he hired me on the spot. And I worked with Jimmy for about a year, during which time I tagged along with him like a little puppy, and I went with him on the appointments and the showings. And he taught me a lot about the commercial real estate business. After about a year, my father and I decided to start our own real estate firm. And after about 6 months into the firm opening, we decided we were going to hire some salespeople. And the first person we called was Jimmy. And he quickly joined us with one of the other brokers from the firm he was with. Now this was in 1986, when people still smoked in their offices. And the three of them, we had like an office that was maybe a third of the size of this room. So there were 4 of us in the room. 3 of them were habitual chain smokers. And I couldn't stay. They would have killed me. I was dying, okay? And I used to always complain to Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, could you stop? Leave me alone, don't be a baby, shut up, So, I remember, he always loved those Dunhill cigarettes. I remember the red box of Dunhill cigarettes.
Dunhill.
All right? He would always laugh and then complain about, let's see, right. After Jimmy joined the firm, I started to realize how good of a broker Jimmy really was. He was tenacious and fearless, and once he got hold of a client, he would never let go. Jimmy was the best at reading people, and usually knew their intentions. He would always tell you that guy's full of shit, or he's for real, or whatever. And he was pretty right on. He knew people like incredibly. He told me how to develop new business, how to cold call clients, and how to make deals. And over the course of the next 25 years, Jimmy worked for us many times and then left. He would get pissed off at my father and I, something we said, and he would leave. Or somebody would whisper in his ear and give him a better job offer, and then he'd leave. But ultimately, he always came back. Right? There were too many times for me to remember, but at some point, he always wanted to come back with my dad and I, because he knew he was part of our family. That's how we treated him, and that's what we thought about Jimmy. So now, Sylvia and Jimmy moved back to the Philippines, right? And I think they came back in 1999, okay? And I was telling Marcus this the other day. So Jimmy shows up in our office I forgot what month it was, 1999, and he must have put on a lot of weight. He had a stomach like out to here, tons of weight, and he was wearing this like Don Ho Hawaiian colorful shirt, all right? And he's carrying 2 shopping bags full of stuff. And he said that we came back, we had returned to New York, and we have a place to live, but I need to start working right away because Marcus is ready to be, will soon be attending school at USC, and it'll be very costly. So we said, fine, whatever you want. He started a few days later, and of course, as only Jimmy could do, he made a deal within the first month of being back, okay? Very, very hard to do it, he did it. And furthermore, even though the landlord had planned to pay us the commission over the next 6 months, Jimmy needed the money right away. He kept hammering that landlord, calling and bugging the guy, until the guy acquiesced, and he agreed to pay us in full immediately. Jimmy, for those of you who work with him, you know that Jimmy was always the best when he was under pressure, right? He was always the best. Now, we all know how much Jimmy liked Atlantic City also, right? So, but not only did he enjoy the excitement and the action of the casino, he loved getting the VIP treatment, right? And he also loved to entertain people who came as his guests. So my wife and I enjoyed, many good times with him and Sylvia in Atlantic City. Jimmy loved to call us hostess while I was sitting there, get us a room, take us to a show, a big meal. And even when we were there, even if he wasn't having dinner with us, he always came over to check up on us, make sure we were having a good time, and that we were enjoying a meal. You'd think like he owned the place, right? Now, as much as Jimmy loved to brag about his clothing and jewelry, I never saw him beam as much, with such pride, than when he was talking about his son Marcus and wife Sylvia. Everything, I know this for a fact, everything that Jimmy did in his life was to provide them with the best of everything, okay? And I knew that Marcus was his proudest accomplishment.
Yeah.
And Marcus, I knew Marcus since he's a little kid, and I remember hearing about the private school, and the bowl of cherry, and the USC, and how much, and my kids didn't grow up that way, so I'm like, man, this kid's got everything, man, right? So you really are his proudest accomplishment, and he was so proud of you. Every time he spoke about it, it was just incredible. And you turned out to be an incredible young man, and you know, I wish you the best in everything you do, you know, going forward. During the last few years, Jimmy slowed down a bit, and his health started to diminish. However, I knew I could still call on him for advice or for just some friendly conversation. To me, Jimmy was more than a mentor or a friend. He was like an older brother. And, you know, in closing, I'll say this, many of you may have heard us say this, and he said it quite often, you know, that, you know, he told me that, Jeff, enjoy your life. You never know when it's going to end or what tomorrow will bring. And he always added that if I die tomorrow, I will have had a great life. Now, I hope that's true for Jimmy, and I know that Jimmy will be sorely missed by those, or all of us who loved him, and may he rest in peace.
All right.